This is Ingredient Insiders. I'm John Magazzino.
And I'm Andrea Parkins.
On each episode of Ingredient Insiders, we'll be talking with chefs, food writers, food experts. Who else, Andrea?
Charcuterie makers.
Charcuterie makers. Just a lot of amazing people in the food world.
And then we'll speak to the producer of that ingredient and we learn its history, how it's made, different ways chefs are using it in their kitchens.
Andrea, we found ourselves back in Portlandia
We always
for this
do.
episode.
Yeah.
What a good time. We had a chance to sit down with somebody we'd been asking to have on the show for a long time.
Since the beginning.
And our schedules just didn't connect because he was traveling the world or he was out hunting for elk or birds. And, this is a man of the land, or fishing for trout in some remote Oregon mountain lake or river. But we finally got to sit down with Elias Cairo, who's the founder of Olympia Provisions. And if you don't know Olympia Provisions, they are the makers of some of the most amazing, artisanally produced, delicious salumi in the world, not just in the United States or Oregon, in the world. And you can find these salumi all over the country if you go to your local Whole Foods or a really fine store like Italy. Wasn't that a fun conversation?
I mean, we record a lot of episodes, and after we talked to Eli, I was like amped up. I was so excited because what he's doing is the real deal.
Yep.
In a way that, I don't think people realize. I didn't realize, and I didn't know his backstory.
Yeah.
Which I can't wait for everyone to hear because it really influences everything that he does.
He put his time in to hone his craft. So this is going to be a great episode.
What are we talking about, John?
We're talking about pigs. We're talking about the raw material for these amazing salumi, charcuterie, and everybody sit back because this is going to be a great episode of Ingredient Insiders with Elias Cairo of Olympia Provisions.
I can't wait, John.
This episode is in partnership with The Chef's Warehouse and produced by Gotham Production Studios in New York City. We're here. We're back in Portland. When were we here last?
We were here 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
It was really...
And I was trying to connect with Eli.
Yes, you were. We were on our way to Jacobson Salt.
Yes. I am certain that he agreed to do the podcast, but then a little thing called hunting season occurred. Mm-hmm. And when hunting season occurs...
Eli disappears.
Yes. Good luck finding Eli.
This is a fact.
Because he is a man of the land, a man of the earth.
It is so true.
An ultimate hunter-gatherer. I went fishing with him in what river? Where were we?
The McKenzie.
The McKenzie River.
Mm-hmm.
What were you fishing for?
Trout. Absolutely incredible. We took these drift boats down the river. I made an important discovery on that trip too, which I'll share with you in a second. I don't know if you remember what that discovery was. It was very depressing. But we had this great trip. But one thing that I want to talk about with Eli is if you do anything with him, he does not short you on the food situation. So this first trip we took together, we took a drift boat, put it in the river. He's got a gigantic cooler. I didn't even look to see what was inside. We get halfway down the river. We're catching some fish. Mm-hmm. And then Eli's like, oh, we're going to pull over on like this sandbar and, have lunch. I figured we'd have like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Maybe he'd slice like one of his here. He breaks out the spread of all spreads. There was definitely wine involved.
It was
Did you guys have like a romantic picnic?
It was amazing.
We looked into each other's eyes for
certainly
a very long time.
So that was trip number one. The second trip we went on is next level. By the way, the depressing part of the thing that I was talking about was we were fishing, and I was, I don't know how many years ago that was.
I do remember
like 7 or 8.
this.
Now he remembers.
Yeah, holy crap.
And I caught a fish or had a trout bite and break off the fly, and I had to tie a new fly on, and I couldn't see the hole in the hook because my eyesight
John needed glasses
because of old age. And I was trying for a couple of like minutes, and I didn't want to say anything.
Right.
And then finally I was like, Eli,
I need some help.
Grandpa needs help. Like it was so depressing.
It's the green trees out here. It's really hard on
Is that what it was?
Yeah, that's what it is.
And so I
It's not your
literally
age.
had to have him not only like rowing me down the river in a boat, making me lunch, but now he's tying flies on my fishing rod.
Can we call you Old Man River?
Please.
Old
Well,
Man
maybe you sing it.
River.
Yeah. You sing it, yes. All right, so anyhow, so we do this trip, amazing. Then I don't know how this also came about, but the Grateful Dead, the rock and roll band, right?
Mhm.
Everybody knows who they are.
So fun.
They're playing a concert out in the gorge, which is somewhere in the middle of Washington State.
Deep sticks in
Deep
the gorge.
there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Eli and Jess, Eli's girlfriend, who's lovely, who I wish was here right now, she and Eli meet us out for the concert. Did we meet there or we drove together? No, I think
we met. You came from Seattle.
yeah. So these guys rent a like camper. Again, all right, awesome. We drive out there, go to the concerts.
Were you staying overnight?
Yeah, you camp out
it's
for
in
like
the
3
middle of
nights
nowhere.
in the
Okay.
middle of nowhere.
It's a beautiful venue.
Of course, Eli breaks out this like plancha grill. I'm like, oh my God.
Like
it
the
was
charcoal,
it
like
was
turning?
It was like gas fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was like we opened a restaurant in the middle of this like
That's
campground
amazing.
area in the middle of
Yeah.
all the Grateful Dead fans, cars, and everything. He brings out the most exquisite lamb chops you've ever seen in your life, no exaggeration. And he cooks us this most
course.
incredible gourmet meal. I thought, again, we were going to be eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches,
There's no way.
sleeping,
That's
drinking
just not a
beer.
possibility.
I mean,
It
but
was-
think like honestly though, if like you're normally going camping, you're not eating lamb chops.
Now, these
Like-
are like double cut,
Right.
the most pristine from some like
Yeah,
artisan
of course.
bespoke
I mean-
farmer that he knows.
Yeah.
Of
It was
course,
incredible.
No, when I'm camping, I'm eating as good as when I'm at home.
That's awesome.
And I camp 90 days a year. I'm always in the wilderness, but I'm eating breaded lamb chops. And you're out there struggling and life's hard hunting and you're like sweating, but you only have a few times to cook. And Jess will come out and we'll be drinking great wine and eating live. Just because you're in the wilderness doesn't mean you got to freaking starve. You
Right.
gotta
I
live.
just love that.
You
He,
gotta
like,
live.
no
That's
matter where
amazing.
you are, he's doing
Yeah.
it
Oh, yeah.
like
I watch a lot of these like wilderness shows
Uh-huh.
on TV,
Mm-hmm.
Alone.
Yeah, that's a little
Outlast.
different. Yeah.
But I'm like thinking, I think Eli could win.
there's no doubt.
I would love to give it a go.
I would root for you.
It would be so fun, but I think I would need salt. I would definitely need salt.
So today
Well, they make their salt. You go into the
I
like
would have to
their
render some
oh
salt.
really?
Yeah.
They render their own.
they
salt.
do. But I think like the moral of the story is we're here with Eli from Olympia Provisions.
Yep.
There's that.
There, I mean,
Which-
just throw out the name of the company.
Yeah. Let's take the time machine back several years.
Okay.
What year did you start the company?
2009.
2009. I met Eli very early on in that period.
I think 2010.
2010.
How did you
Yeah.
guys meet?
He came to New York.
Mhm.
There was there was a woman named Brenda Crow that was a mutual friend of ours. I knew her from working at Dean and DeLuca years before that, but she was originally from Portland. And she's like, John, there's a guy in Portland who is now making some of the best salumi you've ever had. I was like, please introduce me. And we met, and I will tell you, within 20 minutes of hearing his story, I was like, this is the real,
Yeah.
he's the real deal. Talking about Switzerland, where he had lived and worked. Tell us about your history. Like, how did this company start?
God, that's where do we start?
You
Well,
grew up, and I love this. The
Well, no,
family
but I think
story
we should
too.
go back because obviously there was
Yeah.
something in you that sparked this for you. That,
For sure.
You know,
yeah.
was it grandparents, parents? You know,
yeah.
why this?
So yeah, my dad moved from the Peloponnese in Greece. He was an olive farmer. They still are olive farmers up in a very rural area, where they grow 90% of their food and they still cook over hearth fire. He was born in a house without electricity and gas stove, so it was all wood fired, and he could make anything. And when he moved to Salt Lake City and had our family there, he kept that in us. And of course, like most Greek first generation people, you can imagine what he did. Opened a Greek American diner. And we would bring all of our produce before, the farm to table mission was there. We'd go shoot rabbits, and we would do, rabbits in clay pot for there. But you could also get a Denver omelet, and, you get the wood bowl, salad bowl, and tomato and grilled cheese and all of this. And, I just was hooked. Like I loved it. I loved being with my dad all the time. I loved being in the kitchen. I hated school. I loved gardening. I loved hunting and fishing. And if my dad was making booze when we were tiny kids, as a little tiny kid, I can remember tasting it, being like, that is the booziest thing I've ever had in my life, or that wine tastes like absolute dog crap. And my mom being like, oh, the whole family having the conversation. If my dad was making a wood thing, he'd use pine tree, to stick it together. If we were harvesting walnuts, it was always just a thing. I mean, always have this conversation about what it was to make something good. And it just stuck with me. And then I became a sponsored snowboarder and was able to drop out of high school at like 16 years old and just travel around America.
Wow.
For a few years. I was shredding all over America, got scared, like just wrecked a bunch. It's a scary job, not for me. I'm not very Red Bull. And called my mom, and I was like, Mom, I think I want to become a chef. I want to move back. I want to go to Europe and do an apprenticeship. And she's like, great, we'll move you to the village. And I was like, I was pitching more Thomas Keller. Let's say I wanted some French laundry in my life, not necessarily wood-fired sheep over, coals, which is cool. I regret it. I think I would have made awesome
So they were
food.
going to put you back in the village in Peloponnesia, Greece.
To make Greek food. They're like, you cook pretty good
Okay,
Greek food,
not
but let's
bad.
go back there. And I kind of threw like a little, privilege. I want to go to France. I want to go to Paris. They called the church. They asked around. And then 2 weeks later, somebody called me from a small village in Switzerland and said, if you could sell everything you want, or you had to be here in 2 weeks. So I sold everything I had, all my snowboards.
How old are you at this time?
17 years old.
Wow.
Amazing. So where's this village? In what part of Switzerland?
It's in the Obertolkenberg in St. Gala. The more famous region is Appenzeller, which everybody knows. Appenzeller is the valley to the north, where Obertolkenberg, like the Toblerone, Fosterkäse comes from there.
Yeah.
Just really a protected cheese region. And I think some of the greatest, Hallerhacker, which you're seeing a lot, is a Tokenberg cheese. And so that was the area. And I was way up in the mountains. And the person I did my apprenticeship was the Jägermeister of the valley. So, I was only supposed to be there 6 months, but I walk into this middle of a ski resort after spending my whole life on the mountain, walk into this unbelievable kitchen, and we open up my first walk-in, and there's a gigantic ibex. So those horned animals in there hanging, curing, like to get butchered. And I was like, in my whole wildest life of hunting, I never thought I'd see an ibex. And then they're like, no, we butcher probably 20 to 30 ibex a season. We do about 200 wild animals a month, and anything ranging from a marmot to rabbit to elk to ibex to chamois, and we process it all here. We fully utilize it, and then we use it on our menu and sell it back. And I looked around and I was like, you guys are never getting rid of me. I'm a high school dropout. I had nothing really to come back to.
And you've never really done any butchery, any kind of serious stuff before?
Not as a profession, but we raised, like my dad, we'd raise 7 to 10 sheep a year. We'd shoot probably 4 or 5 elk and deer.
So you were good with a knife at that point.
I knew how to utilize everything, but I mean, not like what they taught me, but I'd be like, oh, I know the beauty of meat, and we'd shoot hundreds of rabbits and spent a lot of time around meat. And I think that was kind of eye-opening for Bjerger and them when I was there. They had pictured an American coming from Salt Lake City that has no clue and probably only ate at McDonald's. And I was like, oh my God, I know what a tenderloin is, and I know how to take off back straps and take out legs and all this. And and then, my neighbors were some unbelievable farmstead cheesemakers that did the Alprage and all of the things. And on my days off at work, I'd go rotate hay and help them milk cheese and go up to their Alp, and then really fell in love to the
kind of like immersed yourself.
This is magical. How long were you there for?
So 5 years total.
I mean, that's not just like a stage.
Right.
That is not even an apprenticeship.
Right. Like I did an internship in St. Lucia for 3 months.
Amazing time of your life, right?
You came alive.
Yeah, but you were there for 5 years.
Right under all said and done, when I came, I finished my apprenticeship with a butchery culinary degree, moved to Greece for a hot second because the family would have murdered me if I didn't at least try to become a Greek chef, and then moved back to Switzerland, and then found Portland, Oregon, and decided to come back.
Do you look back on those years as just like magical, experience?
Saved my life. I didn't have a ton of future, I think. And I was kind of just a lost human. And I got there. I knew what I wanted to do, what I had to learn, and the opportunity landed in my lap. And I wanted to learn another language. I really wanted a skill, and I loved it. I'd wake up early in the morning, be able to be in nature all the time, be able to be around hunting and fishing and snowboarding and all of that, and just master my craft. And there wasn't like a day that I was ever bored. I was just wake up and just put my head down. And it really dawned on me. I think one of the things that was like the biggest pivotal aha moment is it never set on to me that you can make a livelihood producing a product. And my neighbors that were cheesemakers, like 220 years in this farmstead, making farmstead Alp cheese and butter and all of this. And I was just fascinated. I'm like, this is what you guys do? You guys just get to hang out with each other and focus on making better products and being great to your cows and doing all this. And I was smitten. And then when the butchery thing happened, it's kind of a hilarious story of why I got so into the butchery. My best friend, Eric Moore, that lives here now, he came and did his apprenticeship with me, and we went fishing together. Yeah. Great human being. I was mopping the floors in Switzerland, and he came in and threw a snowball at me, and I ducked in sun and fell, and I caught myself on a French top, like a ripping hot French top. Bam! Burnt the living shit out of my hands. Right. Yeah. The next day, I'm like, oh, is my apprenticeship over? Like, we were fucking around in the kitchen in Europe. You would not do that. Like, what am I doing here? He's scared. I'm scared. I go in there, and I was like, guys, I burnt my hands on the French top. I slipped and caught myself. Don't worry about how this happened. And they were like, well, you're going to go to the butcher counter. And I was like, or not butcher, the butcher, you're going to just debone things all day long. And they covered my hands in marmot fat and put gloves on it, and just so my hands can stay pliable. And I sat back there for a wild season, and for 3 months just butchered. And I was watching all the chefs and bakers get screamed at and yelled at and run around. And I was like, this
not bad.
Making pate is pretty fun. Sausage is pretty sweet. And so after that, I would, we had a kill plant in the village, and I'd go work in the kill plant and learn that process. And then the salami producers and the Buttnerfleisch producers, whenever I had a chance or a day off, I'd go scrub floors and dry meat. And
so if it wasn't for that snowball,
I don't think I would have been quite as obsessed with meat.
That's pretty
That's
cool.
a good story.
So and then when did you come, where did you go after that? You say you did a little bit in Greece.
A little bit in Greece on an island of Kos next to Kalymnos, kind of by Turkey there. That lasted a summer, and it was just that wasn't my thing. You spend that much time in a Swiss kitchen, and you punctuality and timeliness and recipes and all of that stuff. And I love the food, love the cuisine, and it was very eye-opening. And then I went back, and I thought I was going to air dry meat in Buttnerfleisch. I was going to cure Braziola, if you will. And Michelle, at the time, my sister, CEO of this company, was the power company, moved from Salt Lake up here. And she said, hey, there's this little place called Portland, Oregon. It's a little different than Salt Lake City, Utah. All people talk about is food, wine, cheese, beer, coffee. And I eye rolled. And I came to visit her, went to the Portland Farmers Market. Very eye-opening experiences. I was in the farmers market down here, which is stunning, and I think one of the best in maybe the world. Lots of really beautiful farmers. And I saw a crazy line, like wrapped around the corner. And I was like, what is that? And it's like, it's some kind of cheese. And I tried it, and it was Rogue River blue cheese. And I was like, wait, this is real cheese. Like, this is blue, moldy ass cheese. Where's the salami producers? And she's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, a pate producer. Give me a charcuterie producer. Like, go to a farmer's market in Europe. You're going to see a charcuterie producer, probably 30. And we couldn't find one. And I went to Whole Foods, and I tried my first salami in America after I'd been making salami. And it was this tangy plastic, taste like depression
it was
animals.
Sad.
Very, very sad. And I was like, Michelle, I'm moving home, and I'm going to make this meat company. And she's like, I want high fat. I want textures. I want real smoke, all this shit that I can preach on for hours about. And Michelle's like, sure. Came back, had no money, became an executive chef at Castagna here. And the whole time was working with the USDA in the background on my weekends. And finally in 2009, opened up a one-man USDA plant, first one in the history of the state of Oregon to be able to ferment meat naturally, never cook it whatsoever, cover it in live active molds, and ship it over state lines. And now here we are.
What
15
a
years.
Dreamy story.
It's kind of a rant.
It's incredible.
It's an amazing. Like, I had no idea. I mean, John speaks so highly of you all the time.
Thank you.
But I mean, I've never heard a story like that.
It's just, it's like the dream.
Right.
It's like, and the timing of coming here and back then too, we're talking about 2009, right? 2010, that era. There weren't too many artisan producers of salumi. Now we can probably all reel off the names of,
Yeah, sure.
a dozen. But even to this day, there's very few that are doing it the way Eli does it.
Yeah, I think there are, definitely in the last decade, a lot of American producers, but you were really like staying true to what you learned in Switzerland versus putting a lot of automation and into it, which I, walking through the facility was noticeable to me.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the things I definitely want to talk about is this: you learn the craft in Switzerland. Your Greek background family. You've traveled over different parts of the world where there's great sausage making in France, in Lyon, and in Spain, where chorizos are incredible. And I feel like Olympia Provisions almost is like this melting pot of these different products, because it's not just French style salumi or charcuterie, and it's not Italian dominant. And I think we should walk through kind of like the lineup of products and talk about the history.
Sure.
Because that to me is, aside the fact that the products are amazing and they're made in the most artisanal fashion, and the products are hand wrapped and the casing is completely natural. Is it sheep?
Sheep for the fresh stash, hog for the salamis.
Sheep and hog, natural casings,
beef,
all of like the best of the best everything. But then you go through and you look at this product line, it's like
it's from everywhere. Do you feel like when you were creating, I'm going to call this a menu, but how did you come up with? I mean, I just counted 18 salamis on here,
70 some full SKUs. I think you spend enough time in Europe, and if you're a food-loving human being, you get fascinated by traditional recipes and techniques that have lasted thousands of years. And everything about America is an amazing place. I'm very happy to be America, but you miss that in the food culture. Like a saucisson sec made outside of Lyon that has a 2,000-year history to become perfect. And I've just been obsessed with that. And when I came back, there was a lot of Italian salumi, and they are amazing salami producers, and they make unbelievable cured meat. But Europe has a huge tradition. And you just didn't see that. The Peloponnese need some respect in Greece for making great sausages, as well does all of France. And as I traveled and I was working in other meat places, there was just so much delicious meat. And then how to find out which product that I actually wanted to make became from a time and need and things that I love. And
was it like a goal to make the best version of what you had in Europe here?
Yeah, exactly. That's been the stem to my whole purpose here. Josh and Paulie, you guys met just Josh. They've been with me 15 years, and I've always said that it wasn't the goal to make the best charcuterie in America. I think you can achieve that relatively easy. That sounds super arrogant, but we're just so behind Europe. And to do that, you had to start at farming. Like as well as anybody, a Iberico pork will be impossible to make equally as good if you're not underneath trees and those pigs are living great life. And that's where I think the next step for everything is in charcuterie in America is true transparency and having proper farming. Like if you talk to your charcuterie producer and they're only leaning on heritage brands and they can't show you a farmer, they're not progressing where America needs to be with charcuterie. Olympia Provisions, we can show you our farmers. We'll talk about their diet. We'll show you what we're doing to progress farming in America to make better charcuterie. I want to make the best in the world. I want to be able to go back to Switzerland, into the Tokenberg, and meet pig farmers and butchers and show them my saucisson d'Arles, which is just high quality pork and salt and mold, and be like, we're doing the damn thing.
Look what I'm doing.
This thing's out there. These pigs live a better life than anything, and you can taste the flavor. The pork melts in your mouth, and that's so much better than, I could tell you all of the seasonings that I try to do and make a different texture, but I'm never going to be ever to hold my grain against a European producer, in my mind.
This season of Ingredient Insiders is brought to you by Bizzini Nuts, a name synonymous with exceptional quality and taste in the world of gourmet nuts and dried fruits. Whether you're crafting a Michelin star-worthy dish or just whipping up something delicious in your home kitchen, Bizzini's premium selection is designed to inspire your culinary creativity. Elevate your dishes with the rich texture and flavors that only Bizzini nuts can offer. From toasted almonds, perfect for garnishing, to pistachios that add a crunch to your salads, Bizzini has everything you need to enhance your recipes. Don't miss this chance to impress your palate and your guests with Bizzini nuts, the chef's choice for quality and flavor.
This is the pig episode. Am I saying that right?
This is the pig episode.
This is the pig episode. So let's talk
about pigs.
Specifically about pigs.
Oh, for sure. We can do that.
Because you're not buying this commodity, inexpensive pork, mass produced,
No.
and making, quality in, quality out, right? So you're getting the best
100%.
pig you can possibly get.
Yeah.
Talk to us
tell-
about that.
Yeah,
process.
for sure. I think if you're going to talk about pork in America, you gotta state one big fact. No matter how green the label is, no matter what they're telling you using all the catchphrases, 98.2 of last year, all pork raised in America were in confinement and tortured animals. So that doesn't matter if it's the highest, whatever you're looking at, an expensive menu, all the way down to the grocery store in your neighborhood. If it's not a certified body, they're lying to you. There's just not enough quality pork raised humanely in America.
So
It's
if
all confinement.
if I wanted to go to a store and find the 1.8%,
Yep.
where do I go?
Well, you would a butcher counter directly to a butcher, a farmer's market. Knowing a farmer that has an actual is my favorite place to send people, because then you can actually double verify. And then I lean heavy on GAP certification.
Okay.
Global Animal Partnership. They're a true auditing body. They go to the farms. They audit my farms. Why I believe in them is they've held my farmers accountable. They've taken GAP certification away from them from an animal husband for bad practice or bad farming practice. And that's great. You need that body. You need that transparency. A DOC would have never happened in a lot of these great producers if they didn't have people holding people accountable. And right now in America, there's a lot of lobbying bodies that are changing that.
I love that you said accountable. I think is like the key word there.
That's it.
It's holding the farmers accountable for what they're doing every day. And I think it sounds like you're kind of leading that charge.
Yeah, and
from a chef's perspective, at least.
Yeah, for a charcuterie producer, I think that I don't know of another producer in America that is buying whole herds, that is fully utilizing the entire animal, giving the farmer the best opportunity to focus on farming and letting us and you guys sell this product. What I see happening is a lot of small farmers that want to be on pasture, they don't have the opportunity to go out and market it or make charcuterie or whatever, and they should be on their farm. They should making sure their farmers are doing it. And you need partners that are willing to take on the whole herd, utilize every piece of it, make pate, make sausage, make the best salami, partner with Chef's Warehouse. You guys sell my fresh product, this pork, the best in the nation, to all the great restaurants here and in Seattle. This wouldn't be happening without you guys. I couldn't go to any other of the food to be like, hey, will you guys partner with me? Trust me, I tried. The first time we came to you guys, you're like, of course. We're going to do this for you guys. Yeah. You've been partners with me now since the beginning of it, and you guys do it. You guys have, with all the ebb and flows that the farmers do, from underweight pigs, everything, your sales crew is like, we're on it. We get it. The goal is to bring pork farming to the Pacific Northwest, highest standard in the world. They're on board. So the whole thing is just kind of, I may be leading it, but it takes a shit ton of people.
No, I think it's amazing
to do it with me.
Our VP of sales, our RVP, Jessica Knight.
Oh, amazing human.
One of my favorite people. I told her we were doing this interview, and she was like, you need to talk to him about his pork program because there is nothing else like it out there.
There's not.
And he's working with 3 farms and that is it. And he is utilizing every part of that animal. We are selling it. It's amazing. So, Jessica, I'm doing this for you. No, but I think I didn't even know that we did this. Yeah. Did you know?
No.
So
it's unbelievable.
Right?
Yeah, no, you guys are unbelievable partners, especially up here. You guys carry my whole product across the whole nation. You guys are huge support. You guys give me the time. I mean, John and I and Jen Sussman and the whole team, you guys have been friends with me forever. If I ever have a problem, you guys call me. If I ever out of stock you, the fact that we don't co-pack, that I make every one of my products, I'm fully accountable. So if you guys call me and you're like, Eli, my mold sucks. I remember way back in the day, you actually used to call me and be like, hey, these are wonky products right now. And I'm like, so sorry, instantly credit. I will get better. And they stick with you and you get better. And every year you get better and better. And
we appreciate
Here's another thing that's amazing. Sorry to interrupt, but it's like, here we are 15 years later. The product, how many employees did you say you have now?
200 counting the restaurant.
I think when we first met, you probably
12.
had 12 employees to 200. The quality of the product, because a lot of times when people scale and grow a business, they start to cut corners. They start to look at cost saving things. Maybe this is thanks to Sister Michelle.
It is.
Who's making sure that the business end of things is running well while the artist chef is doing things. The quality has gotten better.
For sure.
And the artisan aspect of the product remains exactly the same. And that's really incredible. And that also
it's
speaks
also
to the
really
fact
rare
of the success of the product, because now you can find this salumi and charcuterie in every Whole Foods in the country. You can find it at most great restaurants that have salumi and charcuterie, which is many. And it's also a reason why the Chef's Warehouse has great success with it, because this is, to your point, it's like, this is the kind of partnership that our company does well with. Somebody who is so focused on the quality, producing a great product, and scaling it properly. Because a lot of times things get lost in that scaling. That's the thing that really struck me today when we were walking around here, is like,
it's the same.
This is the same.
It's just a little better.
There's more, but it's the same. And I think it's fantastic. The other thing I want to talk about too, which is like, this is a whole like amazing production world. You also have 5 restaurants. Am I saying that right?
Correct.
In Portland that are also awesome. You went to dinner
I went to
last night.
OP last night. I mean, incredible.
Awesome.
Absolutely. We ordered everything on the menu.
Yeah.
Not going to lie.
That's the way you're supposed to do it.
I mean, because you're reading it, I'm like, I want that. Need that. Have to have that too. And I mean, everything was delicious. Not just, we got 2 different boards, you know, full of pâtés, salumi, with different, you know, homemade chutneys and different pickles and olives. But then, you know, like the salads were delicious. The large plates were delicious. Like everything was on point.
Are you involved in that stuff too?
Well, Jess runs them all. My wife, girlfriend, the winemaker, heaven, smart human, and
your
my
better
sister,
half.
my way better half by far. And we approve all of the menu things. We meet with the chefs all the time. I get to eat and drink there nonstop. You know, my morning usually starts at 5 a.m. in the meat plant, but I luckily get to eat dinner at one of my restaurants, and Jess will be wrapping up. It's really love, but it's all part of what we are. You know, you commented on how you keep getting better, and it's just, I think that in some people in the meat industry, it was always just a money-making scheme or a way to scale and get to it. It's a lot in the meat industry is speed and margin and how you can pull the wool over people's eyes. But I'm a producer. Let's just be honest here. Like, I'm going to be making salami until I can't walk. I love being in my plant. I love waking up early. I love seeing it coming to life. I love getting better at it. And that goes into the restaurant. Like, this isn't something I do as a hobby. I eat, drink, and sleep it. I love it. It's my happiest places to be. And that's just how you get better. You see it so much in so many other industries. Like the cheese world, I'm so envious always. There's Upland Creek, Jasper Hills, like Rogue River. Sorry if I don't mention you guys. I love you all. There's so many cheesemakers that it's their life. They're going to be there forever, improving and producing, and the winemakers and beer producers. There's just so many. And for some reason in the meat industry, there are more youngers that are coming up, but a lot of them are just cycling in and out and trying to just get to margin and speed and whatever it is.
So how do you scale?
Here's the thing that he's hitting on the head that I was having trouble putting into words. And I think it goes back to like the Switzerland era or the European experience you have. There's so many companies I find that open in the United States that I don't want to say they're like started in Silicon Valley, but like by young tech people, but like they kind of have their 10-year plan or 5-year plan and an exit strategy already figured out before they make the first whatever it is that they're making. And
with the goal of money.
Exactly.
And that's the problem.
I
mean, listen, we all need
an exit strategy.
Yeah. And we all want to make money. I'm not saying that.
But I am certain that the guys, the Jägermeister, who was your mentor in Switzerland, probably came from a family of people who did that.
Exactly.
And I'm guessing if they're still in operations today, it probably hasn't changed a whole lot. And that they're doing it because that's what they do. And that's what they know. And to them, quality is what matters. And it's not just about a financial statement and growing, and hopefully I get bought out by somebody. And I think that Olympia Provisions holds that value, which a lot of, and I'm not taking a shot at any producers that don't do that, but there's a big difference. And that's where the quality is. And that's why when you taste this product, it is its own special thing.
But I think the balance is off. I think that's exactly what it is. And I think where I get, I'm going to use the word scared about our future is, you know, how do you find more Elis? How do you find people that see that and know that, like, the world will not be able to exist if we don't do what he's doing.
Well, it's very easy. You go to your church and then
ask to
have them find an apprenticeship
Right.
for you in Switzerland.
Just say,
Deep
say
in the
yes to
mountains.
every
It's very
opportunity.
easy,
Right.
Andrea.
Yeah.
And then you get there and you don't get homesick and you don't miss anything and you just go there.
You get
and
kind of scared because you have
And then
no
you
future.
get your friend to throw a snowball at
That's
you,
it,
and then
So,
I got
mean,
it.
It's very easy.
The
Got it.
footprints
All the-
out there.
yeah.
Just follow the
For everybody who wants to know how to do it, it's very simple. Just go and do it.
I do think that there is a lot with, I think, the heritage, and you do see it, as you mentioned, in Europe a lot. Like you're not afraid to grow old. I mean, everybody wants to make money. I don't want to struggle for my whole life. I definitely want it, but there's a romance deep inside of me that saw my father work hard and do his life happy. I went back to my village this last year, and my 83-year-old grandfather or uncle, is harvesting walnuts, and he's making no chapa, and he's doing all the stuff, and he's very proud of everything he produces, and that's better than just sitting on a yacht for me. Like I want to be happy producing because I love producing things.
Yeah.
It makes me happy. And I think that there's a lot of producers that I see out there, the ones that I really meet that can talk about their product and are so excited about what they're producing, that is comfortable with the fact that you're going to live a good life and you're also going to be happy with what you produce. And I'm going to be able to stand very proudly in front of all of my employees, in front of John and Jen and all these people that have helped me build this, and be like, I'm only getting better. And it's easy, as you were saying, some productions or product, as they scale, they lose quality because of efficiencies. And for us, I think the people that are actually producing it as like a passion, they see it, it only gets easier. You get a forklift, you get pallet racking, you get somebody smart that can actually make you not go out of business until you want to pay your bills, those things, so you can focus on making better products and do the things that you do. So hopefully just people are excited to become artisans. Be proud that their entire life that they can, make a product that they're proud of.
And the last thing I want to talk about too, we have a couple minutes left, is like, what is it about Portland, Oregon? Because I feel like Portland, of all of the places in the United States, has this, I don't know if ethos is the right word, but there's like this thing here about independently owned businesses, whether it's a restaurant or anything. It could be a clothing business, things that start here in Portland. You're not looking for Wall Street investors. You're not looking for a lot of partners with a lot of money. It's everybody that we've ever met or done podcasts with here is like, they did it on their own. It didn't have to be over the top fancy, but there's this real like
they're doing it for their community.
Aspect of it. And why is that important? Is that just the nature of the city?
That's a great question. I've never been able to really put my finger on why.
But you know what I'm talking about, right?
It's undeniable.
You can feel it here.
Undeniable.
Yeah.
You I can go to the bar across the street with 4 other brewers and 5 coffee roasters, and everybody's talking about a product, and there's very little outside investment, and there's a lot of family run, and everybody's scrappy. We'll weld our own stuff, and we'll build, and we'll be able to do it.
A lot of grit here.
A lot of grit. A lot of want to get it done, and a lot of talking about flavor and quality and texture, be it from salt to gazillion winemakers to beer brewers to coffee roasters to chocolate makers. There's a lot about taking the time to enjoy. Is it
because people wanted to live here because it's a beautiful place, it's a wonderful place, and they just had to figure out how to do it, like start a business and make it here? I always think of that funny line from the TV show Portlandia where they said it's where young people go to retire.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
is
so
that
true.
part of that mindset?
I think it was ingrained ever since I've been here. I think it was ingrained in the culture before us, like Widmer and the wine and everybody that's been out here and the farmers. It's not like we brought it in my generation. It's been in Portland for a long time to make great products. And if you do make a great product, they do rally around you, and you see that. You see companies scale to nationwide success while keeping it independent. And so there is definitely that. Everybody's kind of really supportive and helpful. I do travel along, thank you, Chef's Warehouse, and do lots of ride-alongs. And I'll go ahead and tell you, the culture in Portland when you do a ride-along in a kitchen is totally different. You never hear anybody disparage anybody. Everybody's a buddy. They want to ask you to
so
hey,
supportive.
If they need something, let's do this. Oh my God, can we share a PO from your thing? We'll pick up at your restaurant. Or it has that. And I'll go do a ride-along. I won't say any other cities where it's they'll be like, "Where'd you just come from?" And I'll mention another restaurant. They'll be
competitive, right.
Yeah, I get it. But it's all its own. There's something about it here. I think that they really want you to succeed in Portland, and they definitely care about products. You know, I love my network of friends and that have supported me, and having the people I can say, "Hey, try this. Is this a stupid idea? Is this delicious?" Reaching out to a chef friend that runs at that caliber of restaurants and be like, "Is this as good as I think it is?" And getting honest feedback, working with Andy Ricker or Gigi or any of the people that I'm lucky enough to have try my stuff from anything and then give me good feedback is pretty cool.
And has the success of Olympia Provisions spurred others on? Like if we go to the farmer's market now, will we see anybody making charcuterie salumi that wasn't there when you first walked through?
No,
they're still not there.
The salumi, unfortunately, with the USDA is a whole hurdle to get over. There's other sausage makers that are doing good stuff, absolutely, but in patés in the world, but not necessarily salami, not USDA, so on and so forth. So there's that whole hurdle of getting into the USDA and having the federal government in your plant every single day and having the ability to close you down and ruin your dream immediately. That keeps people into brewing beer, I think, or baking bread or whatever it is, or mastering your pizza. So yeah, meat is definitely still has that barrier to entry with the USDA. That's
you need that extra grit,
want
to
and know-how.
Yeah,
it's such a great story.
I have one more question.
Yeah,
what's next?
I guess next is, I mean, as we said, is continuing to grow my farms. My ultimate goal is that somebody looks at what Olympia Provisions has done and being a successful charcuterie company that is completely transparent, that has come to my farms. Let me show you my plant. Let me do this, and have that spawn out across America to improve farming and charcuterie across America. So I can also be like the cheese producers and have people to talk on that are talking about their farming and how they're making finally a unique pig with a great diet that has nationwide distribution. So keep growing better pigs, getting more people to enjoy my product.
Do you do apprenticeships here?
Yeah, we have lots of people that come and work with us. You want to?
She just wants the free salumi.
You may have seen lunch.
I saw the drawer that I can just take. So
I saw her eyes.
I'm here for the snacks.
I was waiting for this question. I saw her in their kitchen. They have free salumis for the employees to take.
So nice.
So generous. Andrea saw that. I saw the eyes.
And breakfast and lunch, John. Don't forget that.
Wait, I bet if I work here, I can get for all the free
Jess, my beautiful wife, if you want to move to Portland.
Think about it. It's really nice. It's affordable. Kind of.
So if you're listening to this podcast and you're in the United States, you can get all of these lovely products I've seen them at Italy. I love the Italy stores. Tess McNamara, the head of charcuterie, was a big buyer of these.
Yeah.
And
if you're a chef, you can call your sales rep right now and place an order, or you can always go to chefswarehouse.com.
Every region of the Chef's Warehouse?
Yeah.
I think, I don't know if you warehouse them in everyone, but if you go direct with you guys, we can get you guys product. Yeah.
And Whole Foods nationwide?
For this month, in all the fresh sausages, we do their Oktoberfest Whole Food nationwide, the Rockies up and down the West Coast for specialty. And then, of course, .com us if you guys can't get it. And I'm sorry. Is
there one product you're most proud of?
No, it's easy. It's saucisson d'Arles. It's the sea
salt. Didn't even have to think about it.
Yeah,
sea salt and pork. It's fermented and it's covered in mold, and it's a salami that is just sea salt, pork, and mold, and it is the epitome of what I want to do. Because if I screw up the sourcing, it tastes like cheap pork, or it tastes like oxidation or whatever it is. And the idea of mold on salami, like we were talking about, it's the only real salami. If it doesn't have live mold and natural casing, you're making summer sausage. So this is the product. It's never going to be one of my big sellers. It changes throughout the year when my pigs are eating different diets. It has just cool nuances, but you definitely have to be a meat nerd to appreciate it. I don't think it's the one you're going to take to your uncle in the Midwest, and they're going to be like, this is the greatest salami. They're going to be like, it's missing something. But for me, it just blows my mind all the time. And the other meat producers here.
Amazing.
Well, I feel like I have so much more, so we're going to have Eli back on.
100%. I'd love to. We could spend a whole episode just talking about Grateful Dead at the Gorge and what happened there. That's a whole other... That's a whole other...
And we'll talk about hunting and fishing and the restaurants. And
I want to go fishing. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
You're talking to the right guy. John's one hell of a fisherman.
Let's go.
Well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you guys. No.
everything.
Thank you guys all for all the support.
So
and if you're
great.
ever in Portland as a sales rep, we're developing an app. And if you don't come visit us, your car blows up.
Oh, wow.
So you have to come visit
Okay.
us. Yeah.
There you go.
Thanks, Eli.
Thank you guys.
Eli.
You're the
Awesome.
best.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Ingredient Insiders. Follow us on Instagram at Ingredient Insiders. You can find the products we discussed on today's episode at chefswarehouse.com or at your favorite specialty retailer.